Hey guys, Bill coming back at you again with another video. Today we're going to be transplanting the autos into the 5x5 so we can get that grow really started. We're going to take a walk around the outdoors, check out the girls out there. They're just going into flower now. And we got some work to do here in the 4x4 sea of green, the Golden State bananas. They're finally done their flowering stretch. All right, guys, first off, let's go check out the outdoor grow. Like I said, they're just starting to go into flower, so let's go check them out. All right, so we're gonna have to make this quick. It's just starting to rain out here now. So here we have the blue rasical. As you can see, I've cleaned this one out pretty good here. You can see all the way through the plant. Have all these branches all stripped down, even some of these little side branches. We got them stripped all the way back to the stalk and just left the outside grow tips. So we should get lots of good quality bud and still have lots of room for the air to flow in and around this plant. Let's see, we'll get up here. We can see she's just starting to go into flower. This one's not quite as far along as the other ones. Let's get going here because it's raining. This one I haven't cleaned out as much. Let's see, I have cleaned out down in the middle. The middle is pretty much cored out, but I still got lots to do on each of the individual branches, which should have been done a couple of weeks ago, but I'm a master procrastinator, so I will have to get that done as soon as it stops raining. We can see the buds up here starting to form. So she's definitely going into flower. I think this is gonna be a really nice one. And we got, even in the rain, these little leaf hoppers. It's the only real pest that I have had any issues with this year is the leaf hoppers, but they don't seem to do a lot of damage per plant. So let's get back here. There's the zombie sunset and the blue rasical back there. Let's check out the last. Okay, so here's the last one. It's in under plastic. This one, sorry, I know I have the fan going. I'm doing this really quick here. This one I was doing the experiment with the Mars Hydro ad lights, the IR infrared, and I was trying out a theory that I could flip these into flower just using the IR light at the beginning of the dark period. As we can see, she is going into flower as well, but I don't think she's any farther along into flower as the other zombie sunset. So I'm gonna say right now, I'm gonna say that the IR really didn't do anything that I can see. But very healthy. We've done extensive training to this one, and definitely my favorite by far. She's flattened right out into a circle here. This tent I think is about 7.5 feet wide, and she comes up to almost both sides, and she's a little bit further even from here to the back. So even though we have flattened it out some, we are going to have to still get in here and trim off some of the stuff there closer to the stalks, because it's still going to be pretty thick all around this outside edge. The inside is not super bad. In here is not too bad, but we're still going to try to get in there and clean it up a little bit within the next couple of days, and we're off to the races. All right, so I got to get back inside and get this camera out of the weather. Let's go transplant those autos into the 5x5. All right, guys, so we have in the Mars Hydro 5x5. We are using in this grow, we're going to be using the Mars Hydro FC 6500 Evo. It'll be my first time running this light. We're also going to use a couple of the Mars Hydro ad lights along with this as well. And yeah, so we got everything ready here, and I've already gone ahead a few days ago. I decided it was just a spur of the moment. I peeked my head in before I went to bed, and I was like, I should get these into the ground. So we did get some of the autoflowers into the ground. We have in the back, we have 3 banana daddies from Ethos, and they're looking really good. Back there's a spoon I used to plant them, and I'll be using that here in a minute. And then here and here we have Cookie Monsters by Crop King Seeds. Now this one here is probably the best one out of all of them at this point, but that doesn't mean anything at this stage. So we still have 2 of the AirCube buckets empty, and also one in the middle. This is where the last 3 autos are going to go. Now these are just replacement autos for the ones that didn't pop. and they are over here, and we're going to plant them right now. These are the Alien versus Triangle crossed with Three Bears OG. These were both from Mephisto, and these are Hermy seeds, which I've grown plenty of since the incident back a few years ago, and I've never had any turn Hermy on me. So whatever conditions caused it in the first place, obviously I've probably gotten a little bit better with autos since then, and yeah, I haven't had any issues. But I think they're big enough now to join the rest of the family in the tent. So I'll set up my tripod here real quick, and we'll get these into the ground so we can get everything going. Okay, so we'll start off with this one here. We're gonna just make sure we secure that base with our fingers, turn it up. We can start to see the roots right here at the corner, so they should be good to go. All right, so not a ton of roots yet, but there's definitely roots all the way through it. So we're going to very gently pop it in there. Now, of course, I always get comments, you should never transplant autos, start them in their final pots. I've done this since I started growing autos and have never had an issue with it. And when you start them in cups, you don't need a full tent to start out your whole grow. You can do it on one little tray, right? And then in a couple of weeks you can plant everything. So all right, let's do this center one. I gotta grab my spoon. Okay, so this one is obviously it's not on the system itself. This is just a regular 5-gallon pot, although I feel like that pot, maybe it seems a little bit big for a 5-gallon, but that's what the package says, so that's what we're gonna go with. I do have it on a FloraFlex drain tray hooked to a pump, so when I water this, I'll have to hand water this one, whereas these ones will be watered through the AirCube Ebb and Flow grow system, which you can definitely check out at growace.com. I'll have links in the description. I'll also have a code down there that will save you 5% on any of the Ebb and Flow grow systems. So anyway, yeah, that system will be feeding the rest of them, and this one I'll have to feed by hand, but I also have it hooked up to a pump that will take any runoff and put it right back into the res. So I'll feed it from the res, so it's getting the same as everything else in here, and the runoff will go right back into the res like everything else in here. I'm going to try to feed this probably twice a day. Normally I feed once a day in soilless media. This here is just straight ProMix HP, but where I don't have to worry about sucking up the runoff, since that's going to be done automatically, I can feed this multiple times a day. And we got the last one right here. Alright, this is probably the smallest of them. Still has roots there. Still has plenty of roots. Okay, so get that in there, and there we are. Okay, so there we are. We have the last 3 autos in here. That gives us a grand total of 8 autos. Now, when I want to do any work to these ones in the back, these ones I can get to easily. But if I want to do any work to those ones back there, I can just pull that out so that I can get right in there and do what I need to do, plop it back in, and we're done. Now, I am feeding these in the system by hand. They've only been in here a few days, so I'll probably continue just to feed everything by hand for the next few days at least. And then I'll use the control module. I'll turn that on so that we can automatically feed right from the res. And then we're off to the races. This will be my first time growing autoflowers in the system, and 3 different kinds in the system, so we'll see how it goes. All right, so let's head out. We got a bunch of work to do in the 4x4 with the Golden State bananas that are finally done their flowering stretch. All right, so here we have in the other room, we have the Mars Hydro 4x4. Now this one here we are growing using the Mars Hydro FC4800 Evo. I've used this light a few times, or a couple of times already, and I really do like it. It works really well, super efficient with the Samsung LM301H diodes, which are super efficient, and it has a really good light spectrum. As well, I'm using the Add Light supplemental grow lights, which you can see since the flowering stretch is done, we've turned on the deep red to help get some really nice big buds in here. And also 10 minutes, an hour, we have the one in the middle there, the UVA. We have that turned on for 10 minutes every hour, and that should help make the branches stronger, make the plants a little bit healthier, and as well, hopefully it will increase the secondary metabolites. So I've had great success with those ad lights before, so we're going to use them again. And here we have the Golden State Bananas by Copycat Genetics. I got them from a friend of mine, and he's just harvesting his now, so it's kind of interesting to see his pictures along the way and compare them with mine. So it's really nice to be able to do that, to know what to expect. He was telling me right from the start of flower that these are stretchers, and they definitely were in the beginning of flower. And I wasn't too happy with them a couple of weeks ago because as we can see, like even down here, we can see the stretch, the internodal stretch there was quite a bit. But I've noticed in the last couple of weeks, it straightened itself out and kind of pulled itself back together. So the internodal spacing is much better for the highest, probably 6-7 inches. So we should get some pretty decent colas in here. We are going to come in here today. As you can see, she's pretty full, pretty dense. There's 8 plants in here, and so we're going to clean them out a little bit. We're going to defoliate. I'm also going to take some off around the edges here. Definitely will be taking any really low buds anyway, like for instance anything down here is just a goner. But some of the ones around the edge that are still, you know, not too bad, around the edge here I'm going to take some off anyway, because as you can see over here, we're pretty squished up against the wall on both sides and the back. So I want to make sure I get enough room around the entire outside of the plant so that we can get airflow. And if I got to sacrifice a few of these shorter outside branches in order to do that, that's definitely a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Because if we get stuff squished up against the side and get no airflow in those areas, it only takes a small area for powdery mildew to start setting in, you know, if it happens to be introduced and there's a nice area that is warm and it's wet, which if you pull these away, sometimes you'll see the water just sitting on the leaves because the moisture gets trapped in there. So yeah, definitely worth the sacrifice of taking off a couple of the outside branches. We got lots here anyway, so we're not gonna miss those. Using Gaia Green nutrients, so it's all organic. So all I'm doing is feeding it every few days. I'll give it about 6 gallons of water. Actually, I've had to increase that to like every 2 days, 5 gallons of water. That's all I got to do, and then top dress once a month, and we're good to go. But everything is looking super healthy there for sure, and we just got to clean it out now. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick you guys up on the tripod, and we'll probably just fast forward through this. I've done it many times on the channel, so I'm not going to bother talking through it. Most of you guys know now pretty much what I take off if you've seen my channel at all before. If not, then definitely go back in my channel and watch a defoliation or post-stretch training or post-stretch cleanup, and there's a lot of them there where I go into every detail of what I'm taking off and why. So definitely feel free to check that out. Before I put you on the tripod, I do want to remind everybody, Mars Hydro is having their 15-year anniversary sales right now. So head over to Mars Hydro if you need any equipment or upgrades or anything. They have sales on everything, and I will have links in the description. And I also have a code if you buy from Mars Hydro's actual webpage. It's BWARD. That can save you a little bit at checkout as well. One more thing before we get you up on that tripod. Mr. Mike, the winner of last week's Mars Hydro 15th anniversary giveaway. I do need you to check your email and get back to me on that so that we can get all the information that we need to send off and get that light sent out to you. So Mike, if you can do that, that would be much appreciated. And congratulations again on winning the ad lights. All right, guys, I'm going to get this up on the tripod, and we're just going to quickly go through here and take off everything that needs to come off, and then we'll come back, take a final look afterwards. Okay, so we got the bottom cleaned up. Once I got down there, these branches are very, very thin. They're not going to be able to support a whole lot besides the main top. So we ended up taking a ton off. We got that little box down there which is completely crammed full. And as I'm looking at it even just now, like this little side branch here, it's that's pretty much useless as well. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and cut that off too. And it may seem like a waste, but that branch is so thin. You can see it in my hand. It's just so thin. It's just never gonna become anything substantial. So instead of leaving that on there, now that the plant has a ton of stuff gone out of it, it can still feed the same amount of nutrients, but it has a lot less little thin branches that it has to veer off to and feed as well. Now everything can come up into these main tops. And yeah, I mean, we still got lots of main tops up here, still pretty much full, but now these are going to get the undivided attention of those nutrients and the water that's coming up through there. At first I thought, well, maybe those bud clips, this is the first time that I've used these bud clips, and I thought, well, maybe those are slowing down the watering or the nutrients or something. But then when I look at some branches, like this one here is a pretty decent branch, is the top branch here, right? There's no bud clip on it, and it's still, you know, they're just pretty thin. I think that's just the nature of this phenotype of this Golden State bananas. So I'm not super happy with the build of this phenotype, but I think we'll still get a decent amount out of here with a very short veg time. So that being said, we still got to take off some of these leaves here just to let the light down through, because now that we've taken that much out, it's going to be a single harvest, so we want everything to finish up all at the same time. So I'll put you back on the tripod and we'll go ahead and we'll just take off some of the top canopy leaves here so that we can let some light down through. So anything that's blocking other bud sites or other plants, we're going to take them off. Anything that's like down here, we have this one here, but there's nothing growing underneath of it, so we can leave that on and let that do the whole photosynthesis thing for that branch. Okay guys, I think that's it for today. We got it cleaned out quite a bit. Still left lots of leaves on there for photosynthesis. Took out pretty much anything blocking anything else for the most part. So we're just let them go now and let them finish up. They always look a little bit like crap when you first do that much work to them. But I think next week when we come back, they'll look much better than what they do right now. But we still got, you know, some good sized buds here. And these buds are all now exposed. And we should get some really nice, good top buds off of this. All right, guys, so took quite a bit more out of the sea of green than I was anticipating. But those branches were just so thin. So they weren't serving much. They weren't doing much good in there. I think we'll still get a pretty good harvest now that all that stuff is off of there, that it doesn't have to feed it anymore. All the nutrients can go up into those top branches, those top buds, and the top buds should be better for it, for sure. All right, guys, so that's going to be it for this one. Come back next week, see what this looks like. There should be a big difference between what they look like right at this moment and next week. They tend to bounce back pretty quick. The outdoors ones, I will finish up stripping them off within the next day or so, where they're just going into flower. I don't want to take up much of that time, that flowering stretch time. So I'll go out there, clean them up really good as well, and we'll see how that 5x5 is doing next week now that the autos are finally all into their pots. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and we'll see you on the next one. Happy growing.